Hello and welcome back to Left-Handed Crochet Lady. I'm Rachel. Today's video I'm using Landscapes Renewed Lion brand. It's a really buttery and soft yarn. I love it so much. And I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook. For the project, I'll be using 2 skeins. So to get started, you're going to make a slip knot. And then if you're doing the same pattern as me, you're going to chain 247 stitches. Once you're done chaining the 247 stitches, you should have enough to where it wraps around your neck twice for the infinity scarf. And I popped a stitch marker at the end just so I can keep track of my work because it's so many stitches. So for row 1, what you're going to do is you're going to work into that second chain. So not the one on your loop, but that second chain right there. And you're going to single crochet all the way across. You should end up with a total of 246 single crochet stitches. For row 2, I'm just going to remove my stitch marker, put that last single crochet in, and then I'm going to chain 3 and turn my work. After you turn your work, you're going to work into the 5th stitch. So not that first one right there, but the one right after it. And you're going to put a slip stitch into that chain. And you'll have a little loop, and then you're going to chain 3, skip a stitch, and work into that second one with a slip stitch. Chain 3, skip the next stitch, and work a slip stitch into the one next to it. You're going to work this into the rest of the row. So chain 3, skip 1, slip stitch, chain 3, skip 1, and then slip stitch. By the end of this row, you should have a total of 123 loops. And I'll meet you at the end of this row. So you're at the end of row 2, and you should have 123 loops. When I was watching this back, I had made a mistake and I think I missed a stitch. And so in that last loop, you should place a slip stitch. I ended up placing a single crochet just to offset it, but you will be placing just a slip stitch in that last stitch. After you're done doing that, you're going to chain 3, and your work is going to get a lot easier from here. You're going to turn your work and then working into that first loop. It's a little small, so it's a little bit harder to see, but that first loop, you're just going to be working into that space, slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch, chain 3, all the way across. You're going to be repeating this from rows 2 through 6. So you should have a total of 5 of those loops. You can count them diagonally. And I'll meet you at the end of row 6. At the end of row 6, you're just going to do the same as you've been doing. You're going to place a slip stitch into that last loop. And then you're going to chain 1. Turn your work. And then into every loop, you're going to be working 2 single crochets all the way across. And you'll end up again with 246 stitches all the way across. So I just popped my stitch marker in there just to keep track, because I got off on one row, so I'm trying to correct my work. So just 2 single crochets into every loop space all the way across for row 7. And I'll meet you at the end of row 7. You're at the end of row 7, and you're just going to chain 3, and then you're going to be working a double crochet into every stitch all the way across. So a double crochet into every single crochet stitch all the way across. And I'll meet you at the end of this row. When you get to the end of your row, you're just going to take out your stitch marker and put a double crochet into that last stitch. And then you're going to chain 1. Turn your work. And in those first 3 stitches, you're going to be working a single crochet. And I'm still using my stitch marker just to keep track. So you're going to do 3 single crochets in the first 3 stitches. And then in that 4th stitch, you're going to do a front post double crochet. So if you've never done this one before, I'm going to walk you through it. So you're going to yarn over, insert your loop, and you're going to kind of push it to the back so you can see your hook, and you're going to wrap it around so the post is sticking up towards you. You're going to yarn over again, pull through and pull up those 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, yarn over again, pull through those last 2. I'll show you again. So yarn over, insert your hook, and you're just going to kind of wrap that post around your hook, yarn over, pull up those 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through those last 2. So for this row, you're going to be doing 3 single crochets, 3 front post double crochets, and you're just going to keep alternating between the two, and you should end the row with 3 single crochets. For rows 9 through 12, you're going to be repeating this row, and I'll meet you to show you what it looks like on the back side for those front post double crochets. So on the back side, it can be a little tricky because it can be hard to see where you go in, but it gets a little easier because you can see those bumps is where you're going to be doing your front post double crochet. There's a little loop there, but you want to make sure that you go behind the stitch itself and not grab that little loop. And you just want to make sure that you're not missing the single crochet when you're done with your 3 front post double crochets either. They can be a little tricky to see, but the more you practice, it will get a lot easier for you to recognize those. It helps to just pay attention to where those bumps are. And then I'll meet you at the end of row 12. Once you get to the end of row 12, you're just going to chain 1, and then you're going to start over from rows 1 through 7. So you're going to single crochet all the way across, and then you're going to make that mesh stitch with 5 loops, and then single crochet 2 times all the way across in each of those loops. And the beauty about this pattern is you can repeat it as many times as you want to get it to the size that you would like it. So I ended it after completing a second round of rows 1 through 7, and then I'm going to tie my work together for the infinity scarf. So I like to have about 2.5 times the size of yarn for the length or the width that I'm going to be sewing with my tapestry needle. And then I just take my 2 ends and I kiss them together, and then I do a simple whip stitch. So I insert through the front, and I like to do that corner twice. And just make sure that you get your work straight before you kiss those ends together and start sewing things together. Once I get to my end, I'm going to do the same thing at the beginning, like I did at the beginning, where I just do the whip stitch twice in that last place for some extra reinforcement. And then because my tapestry needle is already on my yarn, I just start weaving it in. Weaving in those ends. Once I'm done weaving in my ends, I just clip my work, and then you can flip it inside out so you don't see that yarn that you just did, the seam you just made. So you're just going to flip it inside out, and you'll see that seam right there. Looks so nice. And your scarf is done. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's crochet again together some other time.